Hi, welcome to Papa's Workshop, and Merry Christmas to everyone, and thank you for stopping by and visiting my channel today. Today's project is building this little wine rack. This is a absolutely simple and easy to build cabinet that I think anyone would love to receive as a Christmas gift. It will hold the wine bottles up top, and of course it'll hold the glasses down below. And today I want to show you just how easy it is to build it, and hopefully you'll have somebody on your wish list that would love to have this. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm beginning this wall cabinet for my little mini wine cellar with all the different things that's going to go onto this cabinet. I have two different bottles here. One of them is a regular standard wine bottle, and the other one is a champagne bottle, which is actually a little bit larger. In addition to that, I have a wine glass that I'm going to use to be able to do the measurements. Now these bottles are 12 inches tall, and as far as the diameter, the most important one is the one that's the largest, because I want this to be able to fit the larger bottles, which means the smaller ones will just slip in very easy. So this champagne bottle is actually 3.5 inches in diameter and 12 inches tall. So as I start many of my projects, I just start sketching out the basic design on what I'm looking for. And on this cabinet, if I have 4 bottles going across, I need to be able to have a width of about 16 inches. So that's what I'm going to go with. The other thing is I want a little sign on the front of it that says relax and enjoy. And I'm going to put that on with the laser. So now I've got the basic dimensions sketched out. I've got my bottles in position so I know where they're going to go. And I'm going to hang the glasses upside down on the bottom of this cabinet. So I have the spacing laid out for that also. So now I want to go ahead and switch over and start the laser engraving of my sign that's going to go onto the front of the cabinet. And while that's being done, I'm going to cut out all the parts because I now have a basic drawing of what I'm going to do, and from this I can create a cut list. What I have done is open up the Lightburn software and just typed in some basic text, and the sign, this red line, is basically the size of the board. And if you'll notice over here, the red is being shown but is not going to engrave. So this is just for my own reference. The blue lines, I'm going to go ahead and have those engraved, and that's why I have the output checked, and of course I want to see it. The other thing that I did is I have this, let me show this, with an oval, and this is the text on a path. Once I have that in place, I don't need to be able to even see this oval any longer. So that's why I come over and just check and turn that off where I can't see it. I'll put a link in the description on the video that I did where I showed how to do the text on a curve. And I'll also put that link down below in the description. And this text is just text that I had selected from the various fonts that were available in Lightburn. Now what I'm going to do is go ahead and set up the machine now and get this engraving so I can cut out all the other parts. Now I want to show you a quick preview of what this is going to actually engrave and look like. So I can click on that, and that is going to show you exactly what it's going to engrave. If I want to show the actual traveling of the lines, all I have to do in Lightburn is turn that on and you can see what it's going to do. But quite frankly, I really don't leave that on any longer. So I'm just going to go ahead and close that. We'll set the table up now with the laser. The one thing that I want to point out is that my center dot right here of my origin is actually down here near the bottom of the board, and that's important to note because I still want this to be centered, so I have to be able to put the laser at this point on my board. So there it's set exactly where I need to have it, so I'll slip that out. Then I want to turn the laser back on, so I hit the fire button. And then I'm going to go ahead and slide this in place. Normally when I'm setting this up, I just use a square and align it to this side. But because this is so short, it really doesn't give good alignment. So I'm just going to set another triangle in here and slide that up. And that looks real good. Now while that's engraving, I can go ahead and cut out the remaining parts for my wall cabinet or wine cellar. Now I have everything cut out, and no, I did not bore you with forcing you to watch a bunch of saw cuts. These were just straight cuts, easy to do. So the next thing I'm going to do is just take that bottom shelf and lay it out so that I can get the glasses to be able to be positioned into the correct places. Now I just took a real quick sketch on my spacing because this is 16 inches wide, and now I know how to place these. So this will be at 2 inches, then 6, then 10, and 14. And then to be able to transfer those measurements over, all I'm going to do is the same thing. There will be 2, here is 6 inches, then we have 10, and then I've got my 14 inches. So that's where each one of these are going to go, and that also makes it where, just to double check, that's 4 inches in between each of them and 2 inches on each end. And that will get those centered exactly where it needs to be. So all I'm going to do is just transfer these measurements down, extend the line. So that part's taken care of. I know this is 4 inches. So that means the center point is going to be 2. And the next thing I want to do is drill my holes here, and then I'll cut my slot to the hole. It's a lot easier doing it that way rather than trying to cut the hole after you cut the slot. I want to take a quick look just to show you how the laser is engraving so far as I continue working on the rest of the project. Now I had already marked exactly where the holes need to be drilled, and I'm using a 1-inch Forstner bit to drill these 4 holes. Now I'm drilling these holes where they goes almost all the way through the wood, and then flip it over and drill again just to be able to cut that out, and that will help prevent the splintering of the wood and give a much cleaner cut. Once done, I just take my hose from my central vac and do a quick cleanup. It has nothing like being able to clean up as you go. Keeps the shop a lot cleaner that way. Now it's time to cut the slots, and I made these slots where they were 3/8 inches wide, and I raised up the saw blade to be able to cut all the way through the wood, and it will actually go into that opening for the hole that was drilled into the wood. And that makes it where I just cut on the left side, the right side, and it's done, and it gives a very clean cut. Doing it this way makes it where it goes very quickly and it's very accurate. Now, if you didn't have a table saw, you could do the same thing using a jigsaw. So this project actually fits into the beginner series very nicely. And for a Christmas present on a person who's just starting out with the shop, this is a great project to do. Now I'm using a trim router with a 1/4-inch round over bit to be able to ease the edges where the glasses will be able to slip in. This is not absolutely necessary, but it certainly makes for a nice touch. So again, if this is something that you want to do with the beginner series, the only thing you would need to do is add the trim router to your collection of tools. But again, if you did not want to, you could leave this cut just the way it is already without using the trim router. Now the rubber mat that I'm putting onto the table actually helps support the material so it doesn't slide around. And all this is a shelf liner, but it is rubberized and it makes it where the material doesn't slide. So this is a very handy tip to be able to take advantage of when you're using the trim router and you don't want that wood to slide. Okay, now that the router work is done and I have that round over, I want to go ahead and take a look and see how the wine glasses will be able to fit in. That works just perfect. I like that. I like that a lot. I think that's going to work out really well. Okay, I want to take another look and show you how the laser engraving is progressing, and it's looking very, very nice. One of the things that I really like about the setup that I have is that this CNC machine is actually set into a little cubby hole where I can actually work in the shop with my back to this, and I can continue working on the project. Now I wanted to give you a quick look at the materials list and my very rough sketch on how I design the projects. Normally it's at this stage in the project that you go ahead and assemble it. But one of the things that I have learned, especially on a project like this where there's a lot of just individual parts, it's best to just go ahead and sand it, stain it now as individual components. Once it's dry and you got it all sealed, then put it together, and then at that point you can put a final coat on the face. That's the route that I'm going to go. So next is on to the sanding and staining. Doing the sanding is always a very important part, but it's also really boring. And I'm not going to bore you guys with having to watch this as I go through sanding all the different pieces. The only good thing is there's only 8 pieces to be able to sand, so that in itself is not too bad. Before sanding this board, I need to remove the price label. Easiest way to do that is just use the heat gun, heat it up a little bit, and it peels right off. Can't get any easier than that. Now I'm using the Starbond medium thick glue, and this is the black, to be able to seal this knot, because if you look at it, this knot is just a little bit loose and I want to stabilize that. And that knot does go all the way through. I'm just going to go ahead and put this glue around it. Let it soak in for a minute. And hit it with the activator. Do the same thing to the other side. That one's soaking in good. That did real well. Now then, with that activator, this glue dries virtually instantly. I'm able to continue right on sanding. So stabilizing a knot this way using the Starbond glue really doesn't slow you down at all. Now you can use the stain of your choice, or you can even paint this. But what I'm going to be doing is just using the special walnut from Minwax to be able to stain this. Now I'm going to stir the stain, and this project actually goes very quickly because there's literally only 8 pieces that make up this whole entire project. Now I'm just using the top of an old sock to be able to stain this. And I'm just going to wipe this on, set these aside, let it soak in for about 5 minutes or so, maybe not even that long, and then wipe off any excess. Now I could use the preconditioner on this, but for this type of project I'm not using it. I've actually done tests side by side, and yes, using a pre-stain does make a difference, but on a project such as this, to me it's not a significant amount of difference, especially considering the time that I want to be able to get these projects done. Now just wipe off the excess. So for those who want to leave a comment about the preconditioner, please do so. Let me know your experience with it. But like I said, I do think it has a place, but I'm not doing it for this project. And it's a whole lot easier to be able to stain it when it's all apart than trying to get into all the little corners and things when it's all put together. This one's probably the hardest one of all, because I've got to get into all these little spaces. I will set that one up to dry. And that's all the pieces done. Now I'll let the camera run the whole time. And it's actually taken a grand total of about 8 minutes to be able to stain this whole project. To assemble this cabinet, all I'm going to be doing is just nailing this on. And I'm going to use a little glue on each of the ends. So that will go right in there, flush with the bottom. Using a butt joint is the simplest, easiest joint to use. We'll slide this down in place. This part will go on right here. And this actually helps get everything nice and square also. And we'll go ahead and put some glue on this part. There we go. And I'll just wipe off the excess glue. And I'm going to do the same thing, put a few nails across the bottom. Next thing I want to do is go ahead and put the top on. Put a little glue on these edges as well. Make sure that's evenly spaced. And then we'll nail that in. And the last thing we'll do, flip it over and we'll put the backs on. So here's a look at the completed project. This is a very simple, easy to build wall cabinet to be able to hold the wine and the glasses. And it's just a little fun being able to say, this is my own little wine cellar. So yes, relax and enjoy after a hard day at work. Merry Christmas. Hi everyone, thank you for watching my video today. If you like the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button down below and the little bell next to it so you'll be notified on the different videos that I upload. Also check out the videos over here to be able to stay up to date on the happenings in my shop. So again, thank you for watching my videos.